Okay, class. In the previous lesson, we looked at the meaning of interview method and conditions under which interview method should be conducted. Let us now look at advantages of using interviews. Number one, this method enables the researcher to obtain detailed information. The researcher is able to get much more information, including hidden information, which he would not have got using observation. There is some information we cannot observe with eyes, but when we use interviews, the respondent is able to tell what we would not have seen. Next, it facilitates easy flow of information from the respondent to the researcher, and this makes the whole exercise. Interview method brings or gives first-hand information to the researcher because the person answering the questions is the right one, original, and they are together. It is done face to face. This method is more flexible. What does that mean? It enables the respondent to consult experts in case the question comes from an area where this respondent is not an expert. He consults those who are more informed. The method is cheap compared to questionnaire because questionnaires involve writing questions, posting questions, using papers, etc. And in interview, for your information, most of the respondents are willing to provide information for free, especially when they are responding to students of the same country. The method is fast and time-saving. Sometimes when the questions are short, answers are also short, so it becomes quick. Interviews enable the researcher to identify individual feelings and attitudes of the respondents. For example, when interviewing genocide survivors, you have to understand their emotions and see how the session should go on smoothly. If necessary, you can even cancel them, or you use words, soft words that don't break their hearts. This method favors people who may have visual impairments. Those who may not see and observe properly can choose to use interview because it depends on ears rather than eyes. The answers given in interview method and the questions asked are verbal and can be recorded for future reference. It's good to use interview because as you interview and the respondent gives you the answers, you record and you will use them for future reference. It improves on skills of the researchers to ask questions. Some of our geographers, researchers, young researchers have not developed skills of asking questions. So as they continue using interview method, they develop these skills. Let us look at disadvantages of using interviews. 1. This method of data collection is time consuming. Why? Remember, we had said it saves time, but again, in disadvantages, it consumes time. Why? Because it involves geographers or researchers to travel to the area of study, not like questionnaire method. Next, the respondent may hide some important information due to lack of confidence in the interviewer. The respondent may hide some information because he does not have confidence in who he is responding to. Because the researchers may finally exaggerate the information that brings problems to the respondent. The success of the interview method depends on the strengths of the respondent. If the respondent is poor, the success of the interview method depends on the strengths of the respondent, especially about how much he remembers about what he is responding. If he has shallow information, the researcher will go back with little information. This method is affected by language barrier. This is very clear. You cannot interview, you cannot hold a dialogue between, there can't be a discussion between two people, two parties who don't use the same language. Some respondents may become hostile and react aggressively towards the researcher. This happens when the respondent fails to understand the purpose of the study. Then lastly, interview method can easily divert the intention of the researcher. The researcher can go irrelevant, out of the topic. When does this one happen? It happens when the two parties, when the researcher and the respondent are of opposite sex, especially these young people. They divert from objectives of the study, questions about the topic, to questions about their personal interests, love. So this one brings problems. Thank you.